my hands. It's not for romance. I wanna stay with playboys. We don't dance, dance, dance. So I won't dance again. Oh baby, I won't dance again. Oh yeah, yeah, I won't dance again. Pretty baby, pretty baby. The after party was at Wilson and 73rd. You've got the notion somebody else was with me first. On my radar, I've got some nerve to play hard, waiting for my chance. You don't make me dance no more, don't dance. No, no, I don't dance, don't dance. Oh no, I don't dance, don't dance. Yeah, I don't dance, no, no. I left my heart speeding car going 90 in the rain. She took my heart, filled it with nothing but pain. This speed in my ears, it's not for romance. Wanna stay with playboys, we don't dance, dance, dance. I can't dance again. Oh no, I can't dance again. Yeah, yeah. I can't dance again. I won't dance again.
What's good, y'all?
Hi,
What
I'm
a
Andrew
day.
Jacobs. I'm the
Oh,
CEO of Jam
Andrew
People.
Jacob.
Jam
I don't
People
know.
is a
I don't know. I don't know. it's a commercial. What's good, y'all? It's your favorite dime. I am here. It is Mogul Monday, Motivation Monday. I'm really excited because we have another special guest. I feel like every week I say that we have a special guest, but all of my guests are special. You feel me? So, so this is Making Moguls. We are on every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Give or take a few minutes, you know, we be having our technical difficulties, but it's all good because we always make it happen and we always bring the value. So I am here today with my new good friend, Steph. How you doing, Steph?
I'm doing well, Dime. How are you? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just you know, out here working
I
as
feel that.
normal.
I
You
feel
feel
that.
me? So we don't have VJ with us today, but we are you know, gonna miss him for about, I want to say like 3 weeks. He will not be here. He left me all by myself, but it is okay. I'm gonna hold it down.
I mean, knowing him, he's out doing something amazing.
Oh, absolutely. He's learning something. I be trying to tell people, like, make sure if you're doing anything, you're learning something. So he told me that he has a class that he's taking now. So I don't remember what the class was, but he is learning something, and he won't be here next week because, you know, it's Valentine's Day.
Okay.
And then the following week is the class as well. So
Okay.
he'll be back at the end of the month. So don't miss him too much, guys. I got you. So today, well, first, usually what we do is we do something called wins,
Okay.
right? So we open every show with our wins for the week. So I'll start.
Okay.
Okay. So in the past week, I looked at another venue where I'm actually going to be hosting a festival. My first festival.
Okay.
On April 3rd. We're going to be downtown Brooklyn. I'm extremely excited about that because not really because I've never done a festival before. Like everything, all of the elements of the event is all things that I've done before, but bringing everything together is gonna be super lit.
That's what's up.
And I don't have that much time, so. But their pricing was good. Everything sounds good. So yeah, we're gonna make it happen. So that's my win for the week. What about you?
This show.
Yes.
So my win for the week is being able to hop on Extreme FM, be on the Making Moguls show, and be able to share my story, and hopefully, somebody watching is able to implement some of the things that we talk about into their business and able to take it to the next level. So
Yes, and I know for a fact today is going to be a really beneficial one. Like I be trying to tell people, whoever's not listening, y'all sleep. And that's fine. Y'all be asleep. But the people that are tuned in are the people that need to hear this information. So we're definitely going to make it happen. Let me go live real quick.
of course.
Making Moguls. Also, make sure you guys can text in your questions at 347-806-7747. I probably am not going to answer the phone. I'm sorry. We ain't there yet. Almost. I just figured out the board and everything, but we'll start taking calls soon. But we can take texts. So
Okay.
if you have any questions for Steph, or you have anything that you want to shout out or say, you can say it on any of the live streams that are happening right now, or you can simply just text it to us. So I want to start real quick with how we met.
Of course.
So we went live VJ and I went live at the beginning of the year, and we talked about 10 things to leave in 2021.
That is true.
I've been working hard at that list. I'm not going to lie to you.
I mean,
working very hard.
It looked very in depth.
It was 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it was a list. It was a long list. It was a good list.
It was a really good list, and Steph was actually one of the people that came on the live, contributed some gems, and then stayed on the live, so that everyone can, learn more, and gain more from the conversation. So I appreciate you for that. So tell the people what exactly it is that you do.
Sure. So for everybody watching or listening, so my name is Stephon Braithwaite Martin. I am a business coach, business consultant. The name changes depending on what your title likes to be. But I'm the founder and lead strategist at Rhetoric Advising, and we are a consulting firm that helps businesses grow through business development and marketing. So business development means a lot of different things. So
Yes.
it means sales and marketing. It means business structure. It means business management. But I help businesses grow by using time-tested marketing and sales strategy that spark sales conversations, that spark better leadership, and in short, I help folks get their businesses to thrive. So I've been doing this for about 6 years, and it's been a blessing to be able to work with literally hundreds of entrepreneurs of different sizes grow their businesses. I've seen people go from literally nothing to a standalone business, or I have a client right now who's opening up a spa and studio. Shout out Candace. So I'm actually working with her tomorrow. So she is the founder of Arts and Class LLC. She went from somebody who was talented and had like a really dope idea and some stuff that she was doing on the weekends, and she's really going to disrupt the esthetician makeup industry with the way that she approaches the brand. So like I help folks do things like that.
That's fire. Wow. And what's funny? Like a lot of people, they claim the business development and all of that. But you actually have clients, you have people that are doing things, and that's a great thing.
I didn't take somebody's recycled ebook and then sell it.
Oh
instead
my
of- I
gosh.
didn't do that.
Dang, it's the shade for me. It's
But
the
yeah,
shade.
and
No, but that's really no. Listen, that's really what people are out here doing. So I respect it. You know, I'm sure everybody can respect that. So how did you get started?
yeah, wow. So it's funny. I've always been um, entrepreneurial, even though I didn't necessarily consider myself an entrepreneur back in the day. So I was always the kid that was like trying to figure out a way to, have a couple of dollars in my pocket, but also like not get in trouble.
Right.
So I was like, I'm not gonna be that type of entrepreneur. I'm not gonna be a street entrepreneur, but I'm gonna be somebody who always is, trying to make a couple of dollars. So I don't have to ask my parents for money,
Right.
right?
Okay.
Because yeah, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. If I got $10 for a week, I got a lot. So it
Yeah.
was like, trying to stretch it, especially in high school, trying to stretch that so that I can like get Chinese on Friday if I wanted to or something. Like, you
Yo,
know what I mean?
I feel you because
Like,
these kids be wanting like 60, 75, $100
yeah, nah.
for a week.
It was like I might get 20, and I had to like make that stretch
Make that stretch,
until
yeah.
it happened again. So, back in high school, I realized that I went to Brooklyn Tech for high school,
Okay.
and I realized I wasn't using my locker like that. So I would rent my locker out to my friends for like I think it was like 25 cents a day. Like it wasn't even like
Oh,
nothing crazy, but it was like I had
right.
like five friends who I did that with, so I always had $5.
But wait,
Yeah.
they didn't they didn't have their own lockers?
Well, they didn't want to have to commit to a locker, and
Okay.
also some of the locks, like the standard issue locks, cost money, and some of them, like we were freshmen in high school, you might have strict parents, so you might have lost your lock, and you don't want to tell your parents that you lost that $20 lock.
Oh wow.
So for 25 cents a
Right.
day, so for a dollar or $1.25 a week, you could put your stuff in my locker, and everything would be cool.
Wow.
Because I was just like really bad at like the room that I chose for my locker was just like out the way for like all the other classes that I had. And, like tech is a massive building, so if you're not strategic about where you need to be, you might need to be on like the sixth floor north side and then go down to the basement.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it was
Wow.
like, yeah, you gotta be there in 4 minutes. So it was like, all right, well, I'm never gonna use this, so you could use this for the day.
Right.
So I always
Wow.
had enough to buy like some wings and fries on baseline.
Listen,
Like I
I
always had.
respect it.
Yeah, so it was like stuff like that. What else did I do? I had a really neat handwriting.
Okay.
So I used to write parent letters because I had good cursive and I can, I printed neatly. And so I would, if you gave me a parent note that you've get done before, I would like forge and write parent notes. So like
Right.
so like I was cool with
I
the
used to do
cutters
that
because
too.
it was like I was cool with the cutters because I can write it like you, and I was like, to whom it may concern, this is
Yep.
where you can contact me. So like yeah, I was always trying to like do something to get to the back. I also like ghost wrote papers, but we're not gonna talk.
Okay.
But that was high school. I can't get in trouble for that. That was high school.
Right.
I didn't do that in
Facts.
college, guys. But in high school, I was a little bit of a Quentin Miller.
Wow.
But specifically, this business, the way that I got started, I had been doing some business and like public speaking stuff in undergrad, and when I graduated a couple of years later, I was um, I was teaching, then I wasn't, and I was like sort of in a space where I was tutoring, but my students were like all ages. So I was like teaching my degrees in political science, and so I was like teaching history to like students and stuff like that. So I was like reading comprehension history, but then I also had like adults who were taking like the English as a second language exam, and they like these are people like who were doctors from like I had a doctor from Acapulco
Oh
come,
wow.
and like she was like this one of the smartest people I've ever met. She was just learning how to like speak English fluently and how to write fluently, so I would work with her. But the moment that the business actually like started was I was working with a guy who's working on his MBA program, and he had to like finish a pitch deck for like a business situation. He had like a business case study that we were working on, and as I'm like helping him build it, I'm like getting really in the weeds of like, no, I think you need to tweak that. You need to tweak that. And I had years of sales experience because I like my first job was I was like 16 at Foot Locker, and I was a top salesperson at 15, 16.
Wow.
And like I always like try to like carry that with me. So as I'm helping him with this thing, he ends up like acing the project. And the way that the business really started was he aces a project. He pays me for the thing, and then he calls me up and it's like, "Yo, I need you to meet some folks that I'm cool with. I know a lot of business owners and stuff like that in the Philadelphia area because I was living in Philly at the time."
Okay.
And was like, "Yo, pull up to this event. I'm gonna introduce you to a bunch of people." I pull up to the event. So the morning of, I make some business cards, just like on cheap Staples paper. Like I chose the cheapest bunch of business cards, overdrafted my account because I might have had like $20, and the cards cost like 40. And I go with these business cards. I get to this spot in like a very ritzy part of PA. So it's like the suburbs of PA, and dude's not even there.
What?
So I'm like, "Yo, I'm here for so and so," and they're like, "Who?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Who?
yeah." So it was for real. Like, "Who are you?" And I was just like, "Well, I'm here. What's up?"
Right.
And so that was like my first, like, meeting a bunch of people who I didn't know. They didn't know me, and like, leaving with contacts and like getting a chance to work with folks. But a lot of my background comes from my sales background, and then I also have I was in the banking industry
Oh wow.
for about 5 years. So working with businesses on that side and seeing how businesses are built, combined with like what I already knew about sales and marketing strategy, I started to like channel that and hone that. So yeah, I've been helping people build some stuff.
That's so crazy. Do you remember your first client and
my
what kind of business they had?
my first ever business client. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't forget things like that. So my first client, um, he was putting out a book.
Mm.
So he's putting out a book, and I charged like no money at all, like
It's
almost. Like
usually how it
it was like
goes.
I was offended. Like I would be offended today with the money that I charged and the money he didn't
Wow.
make. Like I put in so much work and like charged him like $75 for like the
Oh
week or something like that.
wow.
But yeah, I was basically helping him like curate the brand for the book launch.
Hmm.
And so I spent a bunch of time like working with him on like mission and vision and strategy and like the foundations that his platform was going to stand on
Right.
at that time. And so he sent me the manuscript for the book because it hadn't been released yet,
Hmm.
and it was like 200 and something pages, and I read it. I read it in a night backwards. So like I always start from the end.
Hmm.
Like if I'm like reading something for like to give comments, I start from the end and then work my way back to the beginning and
Oh
then like
wow.
take my pieces, because I want to see like where you want. I want to see. I want you to see. I want to see where you want the person to like end
And
the last thought they have,
right.
and then I will use that to help you recreate what you're doing at the beginning. So I did all of that for like, again, no money,
Nothing.
no money at all. And yeah, that was my first client, and like, I appreciate him like sort of like throwing me the alley and like, giving me an
Right.
opportunity to work on this.
Exactly.
But yeah.
That's extremely important. I don't think a lot of people, and I want you to speak to this.
Yeah.
A lot of people are very scared.
Hmm.
Like I feel like it's two ends. It's two extremes. Either you charge super low because you're scared that you're not gonna get the client, or you charge super high because you just know that you have the best thing in the world, and you have to pay me for this.
Right.
So how do you consult your clients, or what do you tell your clients in order to kind of meet in that middle ground for
Uh-huh.
when they're starting?
So I think really what it is that almost any price is justifiable. You
Hmm.
just have to figure out what that is. Um, but you first have to understand the concept of value versus cost.
Yes.
So a lot of people, when they start businesses, or they're in business for however long, because it really is not. It's not. This is not specific to people who just start. I've worked
Hmm.
with people who've been in business for 20 years, and they think about it this way.
Right.
They think about it in terms of like, how much money do I want to make, right? And that's important. Don't get me wrong. Like
Hmm.
it's really important to have sales goals. It's really important to have all that together. But what's more important is, what is the client prepared to pay for based on what you bring to the table, or like what you've positioned as value.
Right.
So value comes from like the problem that you're solving for clients. Value comes from their peace of mind. Value comes from the money that you make them. Value comes from what they're now able to do that they couldn't do before. So if you
Yes.
can't identify those things, then don't price anything super high.
Right.
right? Like, the other thing is that people price too low because they're scared of hearing no.
Right.
And the only thing worse than no is a yes that should have been a no, right? Because you're gonna lose a bunch of money. You're gonna overwork yourself potentially, right? And you're gonna put out a bad product, which drives your value down.
Right.
The client's not gonna be the right fit, and we could talk about fit later. There's just so much into that goes into it, but you really want to think about before you think about price, think about what you are doing for the client that's going to like change their life in some way.
Right.
And then you can start thinking about, okay, well, this is what the market value of this is. This is what other people are doing that have similar, sort of similar outcomes, and then I can start to like price it from there.
Dope. Okay. That's a really good that's really good insight because I never know what to charge. I'm always like, you know what? I'm gonna price it this way, and then I've been in this heavy givers get
Right.
stage,
Uh huh.
and I feel like I'm starting to lock myself in that. So how do you feel about the concept of givers get, and when is it like enough?
I think
Like
um, I broke out of this a little bit ago, um, but like I mean, I had the same struggles, right? I do business development. I struggled with this part of developing the business because
right.
it's a constant learning process, right? But I think that givers get is a good thing, right? It's definitely a
Absolutely.
mantra that I live by. Like anybody who's ever been around me or knows me is like I operate from a place of abundance. I know there's more,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So I will never be like trying to keep somebody out of the equation. I'm not. First of all, I'm not afraid of what you bring to the table, ever,
Right.
right? It's the Brooklyn in me, but it's also that I know there's room for both of us,
Yes.
but I think givers get has its limitations. So
Absolutely.
I give the things I give freely of myself are the things that do not take a lot for me to replenish, right? So I'll lend a listening ear if somebody like just needs like a quick business question, that's fine,
Mhm.
right? But if you want me to help you like create a real strategy, now we have to have a consultation
Right.
and I can write you out a proposal of what that's going to cost you.
Right.
But if you're just like, hey, I have this one-off question, or you have a question about mindset, if you have a question about whatever, I will talk to people for that about that for hours. That does not bother me. That's no skin off my back,
Mhm.
and those things can have a fantastic impact on other people, right?
Absolutely.
So in short, I would say give of yourself what you can replenish quickly,
Mhm.
right? I would not give of the thing that took me 7, 8, 10 hours to create and give that to everybody because look how long it's going to take you to replenish that.
Right,
So,
absolutely. It's so funny because I always tell people, even with my friends, like the one thing that I don't do for free is
mm,
hair.
mm,
Because when I braid hair, it takes hours and
yeah,
hours to do. So
yeah,
you guys that are listening, you can kind of judge it off of that sort of concept,
yeah,
right? So if it's gonna, like he said, if it's gonna take you a lot of energy
hmm
or a lot of your time, then it is not something that you just give away,
right,
right?
yeah,
So simple as that. Um, so I kind of want to go into breaking down the pieces of a business and how to identify those things for it just in general. Like
okay.
it doesn't have to be any specific type of business. Last week we had Lionel, who is the CEO of Mario
Mario
and
and Lee,
Co. Oh,
right?
Mario and Lee. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I don't know where I got Co from,
That's all right.
but yeah. So he's the CEO of Mario and Lee,
Mm-hmm.
and you know him.
I've been watching from afar and Flatbush's finest, right? So I'm from Flatbush.
Hey.
I see him from Flatbush. I have to show love. I've been following
That's
for a couple of
dope.
years now. Yeah.
That is amazing. He gave a lot of
Mm-hmm.
good and great information,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that he spoke about was influencer marketing.
Absolutely.
So let's so it can be general
Mm-hmm.
in theory, but let's just say we take a clothing line,
Okay.
for example.
Mm-hmm.
How do you identify your unique business identity if you have a clothing line? Because some people just create from a space of, oh, I just had an idea and I made this thing. It doesn't answer any
Right.
questions.
So I think that's the first thing they need to do is start answering some questions, right? Because if you don't have an identity, how am I? Who's going to connect with you,
Right.
right? And I think oftentimes people look at the business model that celebrities have gone after, and the thing is, what people sometimes don't get is that being a celebrity comes with its own marketing package, right? So if I'm
Absolutely.
well known, the second I put something out there, good or great, people are going to see it and decide if they want to buy it based on who I am as a person,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
But if you are somebody who is not that and you're trying to build a brand, you have to first decide like what your who you are intrinsically and what your brand should sort of be an extension of yourself in some way. So an interesting something interesting that I've read and I thought about this a lot, and it's about clothing, a clothing line. So I saw somebody say, if you have over 3,000 followers on Instagram or wherever, right, you should have merch. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, that person's absolutely right.
Right.
And the reason why, like, if you wanted to start a business, a lot of people are like, well, I don't have 10,000 followers. I don't have 100,000 followers. It's not
Right.
going to
You
be
don't need
seen
that.
by a bunch of people. The issue is, it's not about how many people see you. It's about how many people connect with you. And that's two totally different things,
Right.
right? So if I go stand in the middle of, I don't know, uh, if I stand in the middle of Bushwick and start like talking about Flatbush stuff, like I'm not really gonna connect with a bunch of people, right?
Right.
We don't have. It could be a lot of people in Bushwick, but they're not gonna really feel what I'm talking about, right? But if I go stand on Church in Nostrand
Yep.
and start talking about Church in Nostrand, like it's gonna connect. It might be a
Right.
smaller group of people, but my conversion rate is way higher,
Way
right?
higher.
Because those are the folks
Yes.
I'm with. So let's take that example of somebody who's starting merch at 3,000 followers, right? I have a friend who he started a merch line and he doesn't have like a ton of followers. He has a well connected group of folks that he has like an inside joke with, right? And so he started some merch based on that joke and was just like, yeah, I might do this thing just to see what happens.
Yeah.
And people started buying it because it was funny. People were laughing at this joke all the time. And they were like, oh, here's some merch that represents a thing that makes me happy. I'll part with $20 for it because I have that level of connectivity, and you
Right.
can start a movement that way. A lot of people are thinking about it sort of like trickle down,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, I'm gonna just get it to a bunch of people, and eventually it's gonna get around. But you really want to start a movement based on an identity, based on a feeling, based on a shared experience, and that is how you're actually going to make it happen. So does that answer the question?
That absolutely
Okay.
answers the question. That's great. So you were talking a little bit about fit,
Okay.
and I think what you are referring to is demographic, correct?
In a way,
In
yeah.
a way. Okay. So speak more on fit.
Yeah, so when we talk about fit, I'm talking about part of it is demographic, right? A lot of it is experience, right? So demographic can mean age, race, income level, level of education, stuff like that. But really, sometimes, really, no, really, what unites folks is experience.
Right.
So when you talk about like thinking about a shared experience or feeling that everyone has on something, it's much easier to get people to be like, damn, I do need that, right? Oh, this is a problem I do have, or it really sucks when I can't do this because of whatever,
Right.
right? So now you've positioned yourself as the solution, or as I call it, customers have a headache, and you are the doctor, right? You've provided some Advil to that person that wanted to go somewhere or do something or experience something,
Right.
right? I want fashionable clothes, but I can't afford it, right? Or I want to look different, and I got the money to afford it, but everybody's wearing the same stuff, right? So like a Mario and Lee, like he is first of all just intensely talented, right?
Yes.
But he was doing stuff with like duffel bags from back in the day. And if you're watching this, there's that army green duffel bag that I've been looking at for a long time. Let's talk.
Put that to the
But
side. Put that to the
put
side.
that to the side if you still make those. But there were things that just like stood out versus what was already sort of in front of everybody's faces all the time, right? Like I don't want another Louis Duffel. Like I want something that's different, but that's like well made.
Right.
And it's dope that it's like by a black designer, and like so those are now things I can hang my hat on. So that's the problem that he solves, right?
Yes.
And he might even be thinking about it that way, but that's really what it is. It's like, you know, the people who are buying from him are like, I want a dope design that's not like everybody else's, that's going to go against the grain, and I'm willing to pay for it. And that's
Right.
that's where that's the pocket he lives in, and that's he's doing what he loves.
That's amazing. Yeah. So I feel like when we talk about business development and marketing, a lot of people understand the fact that they need to be on social media.
Hmm.
They're just not fans of the fact that they have to be on.
That's
They
facts.
don't like it. A lot of people are kind of aging out the system. We don't want to be on social media anymore, but we have to be,
Hmm.
right? So what are a couple of marketing tips that you can give to our listeners about ways to kind of simplify
Hmm.
the process so it doesn't feel as intense?
So I think the first thing everybody needs to do, um, how do I put this nicely, is business owners have to stop looking at marketing as something that's nice to have,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or looking at marketing as like a, oh, I'll do that when I get some money.
Right.
Because how did you plan on getting the money?
Right. Right. They think
S-
that the are just gonna come
Right.
and then they'll handle it after that. I was
So
definitely that person. That's how I
yeah, and like
know.
yeah, it's and this is gonna take me down this rabbit hole. But last week I was an absolute menace on social because people were it was Rihanna posted the baby bump, right?
Yes.
And folks started posting stuff like people posting Rihanna and ASAP Rocky, but won't post nobody's business. I ain't see you post somebody's a small business in 3 years. Da 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 da.
Right.
Right.
All the
And
BS.
I went and said, well, your marketing's just not there, and that is why your friend posted about Rihanna before they posted about you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really deeper than that. But what I meant by your marketing isn't there is you have to treat marketing as a skill and a tool.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not doing that, then you're sort of like limiting yourself and you're going to get limited results.
Right.
If I'm just posting
Absolutely.
to social media and telling you what my prices are, that is not marketing.
That's not marketing. No, it's not.
You're shouting into you're that's like me standing in the middle of Grand Central and just saying stuff. And you know who does that?
Crazy people.
Crazy people. And what do we do?
Look at them crazy and
And
walk
then
away.
what else do we do? Not listen, right? You
Right.
don't go home and be like, you know what crazy person said? When's the last time you were on the
Right.
train and you heard somebody say something and you were like, you know what, that stuck with me?
Yeah,
Never,
never.
right? Especially in New York,
Right.
right? So if you're gonna just be noise, then you're not gonna stand a chance in this marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
right? So treat marketing as what it is, a skill,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like any other skill, you've got to practice it and you've got to commit to growing in it. So start to think about, you know, who who do you actually want coming through your doors, and your answer shouldn't be everyone,
Right.
right?
Mm.
So it should be, if I have, I don't know, give me a business type. I'll do this in real time. Name one,
Ice
just random.
cream.
Ice cream, cool. So I could say, all right, well, I think back to my experience as a kid, right? Being super excited when I saw Mr. Softy ice
Mm-hmm.
cream, right? I heard the jingle. I was like, oh yeah, we outside, right? I wanted a slushy. I wanted the strawberry shortcake joint,
Yeah.
and then I was kind of a fan of the cherry dip for whatever reason. And I
Really?
was like, not everybody was a fan of the cherry dip, but I was
Right.
kind of a fan of the cherry dip. And in my adult life, I'm not a fan of the cherry dip. But so yeah, so with that in mind, right, I want to create an experience where there was Mr. Softy, and then where I grew up, there was Taste of the Tropics,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so I would want to create an experience where it's like Afro Caribbean or Afro Latino, or like immigrant folks can come and sort of experience the taste of island flavor, but with a level of like upscale charm, right? And so when I'm thinking of my ideal customer, I'm thinking of first generation immigrants who might have a couple dollars now and they want to create an experience for their children, right? I think about how you know for a lot of people who are parents of immigrants, their parents and they struggle with this idea of like, well, I'm not fully whatever island I'm from or whatever country I'm
Right.
from, but I'm also definitely not like cornbread and grits American either, right? So
Right.
like, how can you balance that? So like, I would want an ice cream shop that's like catered to that, and people were like, well, that's a really small population. It's like, well, turns out it's not,
Right.
right? Because if I have those folks' hearts, right? Their friends on either side, right? Folks who never
Exactly.
experienced that before, or folks who like don't really like do ice cream like that, but like want a dope sort of like vibe in the space. People who like mango, and I sell mango ice cream. Like
Yes.
it, so you start to find other things that make it happen, but your bread and butter is this one thing.
Right.
So that's how people should approach their marketing. It's like my bread and butter are these folks, and because I've created such a great experience for those people,
They're gonna
there's going to
bring
be
other
people
people.
outside of that who will start to flood in for all these other reasons,
Right.
right? And you, as you see that, like you can change things as things go along, but you want to have a bread and butter.
Definitely. I completely look, everything that he's saying is true, y'all. I'm gonna need y'all to know. Okay. So I asked Lionel this last week, so I'm
Okay.
gonna ask you too.
Hmm.
Say someone does not have that much money. They
Okay.
got they got a, they got a couple
Okay.
dollars, but
Give
they
me
got
give me a number.
bills and stuff. Okay. They have, let's say, $300
Bet.
to part with.
Hmm.
That's it. They got bills and all this coming up.
Hmm.
$300. That's their last $300. They're willing to invest it in themselves.
Hmm.
What should they do? What type of business can they start?
Okay.
And uh, just you don't go too crazy.
I'll be
But
good.
okay, all right, hold it down. Go ahead.
All right. I would start with something simple. I think that the first thing you want to look at is what are you personally good at?
Yes.
So like don't be like I want to start a cleaning company and you wasn't the one cleaning in your house.
Right.
Right? Your house look crazy but you want to clean people's house.
Right.
Um but I would start with what you are actually talented at. Then I would think about an interesting way to position it in the market. So actually I'm going to go with the cleaning company example.
Okay.
I would go to the dollar store and buy all my washcloths, my buckets. I'm not gonna buy the actual cleaning. I'll buy some of the cleaning supplies and stuff like that. I might get some Fabuloso and then cut it with some other stuff like to do that. But then I'm also going to invest in like a good squeegee, like an actually good one,
Right.
a good mop. So let's call that $100 worth of supplies.
Yes. Okay.
I'm gonna go to. I believe in high quality business cards.
Okay.
A lot of people don't. I do.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go to like moo.com, moo.com,
Okay.
and get some good business cards. I'll
I've never
get
heard
like
of
a hundred
that.
of those. Yeah, so they do high quality business cards. So you can have business cards with gold foil. You can do all sorts of interest. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
there was an era when I had a business card that was like thick,
Mhm.
silky smooth, and my logo reflected in the light.
That sounds very fancy.
And yeah, so it was and it was like six. It cost me like $60 for like 50 of them. Like it
Oh
was expensive
wow,
for business
yeah.
cards,
Mhm.
but the impression it made was like everything. And like you don't
Right.
necessarily need to do that as a cleaning company, but you want to be able to position yourself because a lot of people have cleaning companies, and people tell me all the time, "Well, my business has like so many other people doing the same thing. The market's oversaturated." And I was like, "I don't know
Yes.
what oversaturated actually means,
Hmm.
because there's almost no such thing." Um,
Almost.
Almost no such thing. It's only oversaturated if everybody's doing the exact same thing in the exact same way and following the exact same template.
Right.
But when you bring like your unique energy to a situation, there's always going to be room for you,
Mhm.
because people are going to realize, hey, I actually identify with how you approach things better, right? There's always somebody who's fulfilling customer service needs better, right? Who is approach cleaning better, whatever the case may be. But Yeah, so I would take $100 on that. I would take another 60, 50 to $60 on um, business cards and things like that. I would take 34.99 a month. Get a website.
Okay.
So squarespace.com, you could do about for $34 a month. You can have you have your domain on that site. Build it yourself. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just needs to take on, space.
I'm going to challenge that.
Okay.
Wix.com
Uh huh.
has templates and all that.
Uh huh.
And they are free.
Hmm.
But when you create a domain, depending on when in the year, the domain may be free for a year, and you just have to pay
Okay.
for hosting. Hosting's around $14
Right.
or
Yeah.
so.
So something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So I have the reason why mine is 34.99 a month is because like I can take payments through the thing and like
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
yeah. So you want to have somewhere that you can take payments. We're not doing Cash App.
Please tell them.
We're not
Tell
doing
'em.
Cash App. We're not doing Venmo. That real sound that's like I've got Cash App, Venmo. No, we're not doing it. We're too good for that. Um, we'll we'll put that to the side for a second. Um, the last thing I would invest in, and there's more, but I'm gonna leave you with $100 to just like have, right?
Just in case.
Yeah. The last thing I would invest in is I want everybody who's watching this who has a business, whether you have an LLC, a S corp, you're a sole proprietor, um, is go and get a Google Workspace account.
Yes.
And what that is basically allowing you to have an email at the web address that you have, right? You own your domain. So rather than, for example, my business, Rhetoric Advising, so rather than rhetoricadvising@gmail.com, I am now Stephon at rhetoricadvising.com.
Right.
That costs $7.99 per email a month, right? $7.99 a month, and you can have a totally branded email address
Yes. And it
with
just looks so much better.
access to Google Drive, access to 30 gigabytes of data that you can like save into your Google Drive and stuff like that. Um, your security is enhanced, so it's a lot more difficult for somebody to just go ahead and hack in. Um, you can actually this is something that I talk about but not enough people know. You can create an alias for that email address. So I can be Stephon at rhetoricadvising.com. I can also be hello at rhetoricadvising.com. I can also be, I don't know, George at rhetoricadvising.com.
Right.
So you can create aliases. So a lot of people do that for like their info, right? So I can be Stephon, but I also on info. So anytime somebody emails one of those emails, it goes to my inbox.
Right.
And I can respond as whichever I'd like
I
to
did
be.
not know that. Do you have to pay $7.99 for the aliases? No.
No. So the
wow.
aliases is basically like an AKA for your email.
Right.
So Google Workspace already already knows that you are the secretary, but also the salesperson, but also the that.
Right.
So they will allow you to be able to do that, so you can wear multiple hats.
It's fire.
Right. So I've when I started my business, like I actually went and sort of like hired some folks like part-time to be like secretaries and do partnerships and branding, and like we worked out how I was going to do that. I gave them all aliases. We all had aliases, so like the info at Rhetoric went to all of us. So somebody was always responding quickly. So if I was like away or I had a situation going on, people can get prompt service, and we can all share those resources as well. So
Wow. That is great information to know. You just taught me something because I had no idea. I have a Google Workspace for Dime Life. I don't have one for Making Moguls yet, but yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's dope.
yeah, it's you only will pay for another subscription if you add another person. So if you add another
Right.
like human,
Yeah,
then you have another,
they're gonna
yeah.
need a separate email
Right.
address. Okay.
And then you can
Yeah.
also do dope things like, I mean, it's not necessarily dope, but like, let's say I add you to my business, right? So Dime now has her own Rhetoric Advising email. I can control what you're able to do on your phone, like using my email. So it's like, okay, well, she can't, she can't use her, save the stuff that we send in email to her personal gallery.
Right.
And it helps you protect your business's
Yes.
information, because when it comes to, if you have, especially if you're like a business to business situation, or I mean anybody who services customers, you have an obligation to protect your customers' info. And if somebody who works for you messes that up, you are still held liable.
Right.
So that's ways to like safeguard that stuff, which is dope.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that with I used to work at a staffing agency. So I had access to their Google Drive and all of this information because it wasn't like a normal like temporary staffing agency. It was like immersive experiences and events and all that type of stuff. So all of the client information, all of the information was in one place, but yeah, you cannot save it, you can't download it, none of that
Right.
type of stuff. So yeah, I thought that was cool. I didn't know that there was something in Google that created that.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we're running a little low on time left, what is something that you want to leave the people with? Like, as it pertains to business, whether it's the development portion, whether it's marketing, whether it's managing your business, what's one more thing you would want people to know?
Um, I think the one more thing I would want people to know is not not to be afraid of looking dumb temporarily. And this sounds particularly difficult because a lot of folks get into business because they feel like they were controlled when they were in their 9 to 5, or they feel like, if I own this thing, nobody can tell me yay or nay.
Right.
Right? It's mine. I control it. A lot of folks talk about control all the time. The thing about business is that, and this is for pretty much everything in life, right? The folks with the most control over things are the ones that can like let go
Yes.
and recognize when they're not the best thing for that situation, that person, for that business, or they're willing to, as they make a mistake, they can own it, be like, damn, that was dumb, and then go
Right.
and like and get the help. So when you're in a situation where you're not actually like admitting those things, and it's impossible to not look dumb in business, I promise you. I tried. Um, it's impossible. Like everybody makes mistakes in life, but like
Yes.
you will cost yourself more money and time and clout, honestly, trying to like make everything look perfect,
True.
or like trying to seem like you know everything, or trying not to. I know we say like don't listen to anybody, like just like do what you do what you do. That's right to an extent, but like also keep your eyes and your ears open because there's always somebody that knows more than you, even if they're not richer than you.
Absolutely.
So that would be my piece of advice: is to
That's fine.
don't be afraid of being like, you know what, I ain't got it like that. Let me do this.
Right. Nah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I actually want to touch on one more thing.
Yeah.
So, content
Okay.
on social media.
Yeah, for sure.
Or just not even just on social media, like just in general.
Putting stuff out there, right?
Yeah, so we all know that it's super important. But what are your tips on creating quality content that converts into sales?
Absolutely. So uh, the the way to think about content is that you're giving your audience or your clients a chance to experience what you do before they buy it,
Right.
right? And that's why I was saying before about like marketing can't just be you posting how much things cost,
Right. Or
posting
sharing a million flyers.
or sharing a million flyers, or posting just before and after pictures,
Right.
right? Like you've got to give people a chance to experience content like you creating the thing in real time, right? You sharing um, important conversations in the industry. Sometimes when we're talking about giving to get, sometimes it's sharing things that would enable your customers to do this themselves. And then what you realize is that the value is in the convenience of having you do it for them.
Right.
So there's times where I will literally tell you how to do something. Like I just told people how to get Google Workspace,
Right.
right? Look up Google Workspace. You can get it yourself. You don't need
It's
me for
very
that.
easy.
It's
Exactly.
very easy. But because I share that with folks, they're like, look, that's dope. I don't want to do that.
Right.
Right? I want it done, but I don't want to do it, right? So you start to realize, like, as you create content, your audience will start to tell you what is important to them, and it brings us back to that V word we were talking about value,
Yes.
right? You'll start to discover what people value and care about. So give focus your content on giving your audience a chance to experience your expertise, your personality, the quality of your content, what other people feel about your content, um, what other people in your industry feel about things. So like I'm constantly sitting down with other business consultants, people who are my competition,
Right.
and we're chopping it up about like what it is that we can do, and like I'm partnering with other people, giving myself the opportunity to learn from them, but then also we can share the resources, and more people all of a sudden they have clients who they're like, okay, well they do these things, you do those things, I'm gonna go to you for that, but I'm gonna stay with them for this, and like,
Right.
and that's okay, like we could all get this bag. So content is important.
Yes, it is. So, for those of you that cannot afford content because we know how costly everything is nowadays,
Hmm.
New Heat Studios, which is one of my other businesses,
Okay.
we are offering free content days starting on February 18th. So it's going to be each Friday
Dope.
from 6 to 9 p.m. You can come, take pictures, take videos, get some content for your reels. I'm working on some fire backdrops, some dope props. Just I just want to be able to offer people things that they don't necessarily have access to.
For sure.
So me creating something like this for free, at least for those 2 days, there is no reason why you guys do not sign up and
Hmm.
get that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm gonna add $25 more to that budget that I was talking about, right? 'Cause I left him with 100. I'm gonna leave him with 75. Go buy a cheap. It doesn't have to be expensive. A cheap ring light,
Yes.
um, and like some $5 on Amazon like lens swaps,
Right.
because a lot of people be taking cloudy content, but um, use that, and it doesn't have to be. You don't want like necessarily professional quality stuff. People actually like the real. Like they don't like, and when I say the real, I mean they don't want it to feel like it's been like this professional production. They want something that's professional, but like feels organic. So yeah.
Right.
But yeah, definitely take up dime on that offer. Like content is so valuable. You'll never know. Literally, you never know what piece of content turns into something. I've had content that I wanted to throw away that turned into like huge sales. So
Absolutely. So tell the people where they can find you and how they can, connect with you to get some help with their
sure.
business.
So you can find me in these social streets. You can find me in these actual streets. I be around. So I'm originally from Brooklyn, but I live in the DMV now. So I actually live just outside of DC. But you can find me on social media at StephMart_CEO, on Instagram, Twitter, um, Pinterest, actually, all of them things. You can
Oh.
find my consulting firm at We Are Rhetoric, RHETORIC. Um, you can The ways that you can work with us. There's a few, but the three things that we're currently doing is I offer a what I call an executive experience. So I do one-on-one consulting, but for folks who are like, look, I need to implement this stuff all right now. Like our premium package right now is a full day in person 7-hour consulting session. So it'd be like me, you, your business, and whoever else you want to have, your business partners, stuff like that. We're in a room building your business from the ground up. So we're looking at mission, vision, and strategy. We're looking at pricing models. We're looking at marketing strategy. We're looking at pre-launch planning. We're looking at email drip campaigns. Like we're like breaking it all down for a day.
Right.
Then we're gonna have dinner and celebrate,
Okay.
right? Obviously it's a little costly, but so it starts at $1,500. But yeah, so that's one. The second is, and the main way right now is I have an idea to income marketing boot camp. So the next boot camp
Yes.
is coming February 21st. It's a 3-day boot camp where I help you utilize data to understand your customers, build out an actual marketing plan. So on day 3, when we're done, you're going to be able to implement that literally the next day and make some money. I also have some ebooks that are available for purchase in my bio. I'm around. So
He's around.
hit me, find out.
Make sure you connect with my guy Stephon. Super dope. I really appreciate you coming all the way out here to chop it up with me.
Of course, I had to.
Again, this is Making Moguls. We're on every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m., give or take. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all follow us on Instagram at the Making Moguls Show. You can follow me on Instagram at Dime Smith. That's Dime with a Y, not an I. Yo, next week is Valentine's Day. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have a couple in here talking about how to balance love and business. So that should be a really good one because I fail at it every single time. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad at it. But again, make sure y'all stay tuned in. Every Monday we are live, and I'm excited to continue to connect with you.
For sure.
I might be booking a consultation because I'm about to relaunch this ice cream business and I'm gonna need some help.
Talk to your boy.
All right, so make sure y'all stay tuned in. My girl Kanika about to come up next. Y'all have a good night.